How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Level 7. We got another live show of the Agents of Fandom podcast, and we got a big one. We're talking more DC than we usually do. We're going to break down all the latest news and rumors on that front. We're going to get our guest spoiler free thoughts on Black Adam as he has already seen it. And we are also going to have a DC movie draft, and then we're going to cap things off with Andor, episode 7, my favorite episode of the series so far. But before we get into any of that, I'm joined as always by my co-host Garrett Blaney. How you doing, Garrett?
I'm doing, but I'm I'm looking for this to give a nice pick me up and close out the week on a high note.
I love it. You've had a really long week. I had a decently long day, and I'm ready to just I managed to keep in mind what we've been talking about and know that even though recording kind of feels like a job before you start, as soon as you get into it, you love it. And that's kind of I kept that in mind all day and managed to look forward to it. And so I'm pumped to talk with our guest who's got a fresh new camera on, looking real handsome. Our chat is already going crazy for him. Liam Crowley from comicbook.com. How you doing?
I'm fantastic, TJ. And yeah, thanks for the shout out on the camera. I've had this for a while, but as I was saying behind the scenes, it picks and chooses what software it works with. Luckily, the Agents of Fandom, a match made in heaven. So we're crisp, we're HD, we're ready to talk all things geek news.
We went out of our way in advance to make sure we use the software that collaborated properly with with Liam's camera. So we're gonna dive into this. We're gonna talk DC. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe. If you're watching on Twitch, we got a hype train going on right now. So grab a sub for a friend, do all those fun things. Thank you to those who have already done it. If you have questions about anything we're talking about, get them in now. You have questions for Liam, get those in now. Next level of a hype train. Let's go. And if you want to rip us apart for our draft picks, you can do that too. I'm going to get into the details later on, and then we're going to talk Andor at the very end of the show so that those who haven't seen it don't have to kind of bow out and then come back in after. And before we do that, Liam, you have seen Black Adam, which premiered in theaters today already. You were at the at an early show. I'm going tomorrow night. I know Garrett's going either sometime this weekend, I believe.
Tomorrow night, I think.
What were your spoiler free thoughts?
Yeah, so I put out a little social reaction yesterday, and I wanted to make sure I accompanied it with a video because I'm a verbal guy, and it's so hard to convey all thoughts and feelings on a movie like this through just 280 characters. I thought
On that note, can you
yeah.
define what a social reaction is for us?
Oh, of course, TJ. I love to define social reactions. It's a brief 280 character typed out response to a movie that doesn't get into the nitty gritty, doesn't give a score, doesn't reveal any plot details or surprise cameos or anything. It's just a reaction, if you will. No specifics, but I digress. I thought Black Adam was a fun time. It was corny. It was generic. It was an amalgamation of probably a dozen different superhero movies I've seen before, but it didn't take itself too seriously. I ordered a large popcorn. I got a large soda. I laughed. I cheered at some moments. I turned my brain off for 2 hours and I walked away satisfied. This thing's not going to win any awards. This thing is not super rewatchable. It's like TNT rewatchable in the sense of this will come on cable network eventually and I'll put it on in the background. But what more can you ask? Like, no one's looking for this to win Best Picture. And I thought it succeeded at what it set out to do.
I like that. Succeeded what it set out to do is kind of always a good way to measure movies, I think, and that's kind of how I like to look at things. That's how I like to measure these Disney Plus shows we've been talking about as well. She-Hulk is one specifically. I thought it set out to do something, and it really accomplished that. And so I'll get your thoughts there as well. But I'm happy to hear that kind of review. It actually gets me more excited for Black Adam. I don't want to say that I'm going in with no expectations. I'm going in with the expectations of sit back, relax, and have fun. And I think that will allow me to enjoy it a little bit more. What about you, Garrett?
Yeah, I mean, I think there actually are people that are going into this movie like expecting a cinematic, like something to be a high quality movie, and they're simply put, like they're going to be let down. And this is a movie that's 15 or so plus however years in the making, and so yeah, I always expected to kind of just go and turn off my brain and just watch The Rock do cool rock things. So I'm glad that that's what it is, and that's what I expected. So I'm not going to be disappointed at all.
We may have other types of DC movies coming though, because there's been all kinds of news on that front. The Flash 2 reportedly has already been written by the same writer that penned Aquaman. We apparently have Man of Steel 2 could potentially be starting to be in the works, as well as the Batman getting all kinds of different spin-offs with the villains. Liam, what are your thoughts on all this? It kind of just you had a great tweet on the matter, and I feel similarly. I'm viewing it cautiously optimistic. It's tough to get too pumped. It almost kind of feels like we're just got unveiled a re-unveiling of something like 5, 6, 7 years ago, something like that.
Yeah, like I said in my tweet, I'm numb to DC film announcements. It just came out today that like Zatanna is not moving forward. Shocker. Who could have predicted that one, right? Like the amount of
That
time
makes me
we had.
sad. I love Zatanna so much.
Zatanna's a great character, sure, but like we weren't gonna do She-Hulk until we did Iron Man. Like play with your big IPs first. Like let's finish that Wonder Woman trilogy. Like let's get Man of Steel 2 before we start diving into she's a what? A team player on the Dark Justice League, right? Justice League Dark, I think.
So over the last like 5, 10-ish years, she's really become a much bigger player through Young
Right.
Justice and then becoming a member of the Justice League and being in the animated stuff a lot. But yeah, that the dark side is kind of her main jam.
Gotcha. And this is not me dancing on Zatanna. I'm sure that could
Matt
be.
Matt Aguiar, your Matt Aguiar, your coworker, is saying, Liam,
Uh,
how dare you?
I would love to see that movie eventually, but like, can we like let's get the big stuff out of the way first, the stuff that's going to build out this universe. But no, to answer your question, I have faith that a lot of these announcements will come to fruition because there are new people in power. They seem to be prioritizing different things now, and they're not going to announce anything that they don't plan on following through on. That being said, I'm just so numb to it all over the past 7, 8 years of film slates and broken promises that I'm just like, okay, this is great, but like, not until I see a trailer will I believe it. And I say trailer because Batgirl, that movie got shot and we're not seeing it. So until we get a marketing campaign off the ground, that's when I'll believe that Man of Steel 2 is actually happening.
That makes sense. Garrett, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same. I'm definitely numb to it. It definitely doesn't feel like a connected, interwoven universe. It kind of just feels like, like the 90s or early 2000s when we were just dropping Batman films and Spider-Man films, and it just didn't connect to anything. So take it with a grain of salt, but I'd love to see, I'd love to see that. I want to see all of this. I want to see Zatanna. I want to see, Henry back. Give me Blue Beetle. Shout out Ruben. I know that's an important film. But I'll wait till I'm very similar position as Liam. I'm kind of just, unless we see hard proof, it could literally just go up in flames at any second.
Talking this Blue Beetle, talking this Zatanna, it has me tempted to choose my draft picks with my heart as opposed to my brain and votes.
Always.
And we're going to be highlighting some of the real successes throughout the years of DC with our DC draft. We're cautiously optimistic. We're a little numb. We hope it happens, but we'll believe it when we see it. But there have been some great projects that are already out, and we're going to highlight the very best ones. So if you are just tuning in now, I see we got Nate Smith in the YouTube chat, keeping things popping in there. If you got any questions for us, let us know. And Twitch is popping like it always is, so you guys can let us know what you think of our picks. Let me explain how this is going to work. Ruben has made a nice little draft board that he's going to throw up on the stream here, and we are going to have 6 rounds. There's only 3 of us. We sped through the news. We're going to get through 6 different rounds. And the pick order will stay the same. It's going to go Liam, followed by TJ, followed by Garrett, snake order. So Garrett will get 2 picks in a row, running back to Liam. And what will change is there are 6 categories, and we can choose them whenever we want. We can prioritize them however we want. We have an animated film, a DCEU film, a legacy film. So what that means is anything before when the DCEU started. We're not going to talk about multiverse and like, yeah, Michael Keaton's technically DCEU now. We're just going to say when it started, Man of Steel and forward. Legacy is anything prior to that. Wild card, I'll get to wild card last. Animated TV, it's a TV show. Live action TV, it's a live action TV show. Easy peasy. Wild card can be any of the above. You want to double down on a particular category, you couldn't choose between 2. Or if there's a specific title that doesn't fit any of these categories, you can choose that in wild card as well. Contestants, Garrett and Liam, do we have any questions before we fire this up?
Just one. You said when you pitched this to me, Legacy is predating DCEU. Does that mean stuff that came out during the years the DCEU was active that aren't in the DCEU are off the table? I'm just going to say it out loud. Joker and the Batman, are those on the table for Legacy?
No, but yes for wild card.
I see. Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So, Garrett, how about you?
I mean, I'm going in raw, so we'll see what happens.
I was looking like, so to be fair, on top of all this news we got, and on we've been talking about this on the show, Garrett, how on Amazon Prime Canada, Teletoon Plus just popped on, and with all the stuff leaving HBO Max, I finally got all my DC cartoons. So on top of this news, I've just been watching like a lot of content I've been really enjoying, so I've been in the DC mindset. And then I knew I wanted to do some type of game draft, and this is what popped into my head for this one. So without further ado, Liam, as our guest, we always give our guest a first pick unless they don't want it. So you got first up here.
Okay. Well, it's hard for me with these drafts because, I'm a little rusty and I want to make sure I implement a good strategy, but I also want to make sure I get my heartfelt picks too. We're going to go with the recency bias. We're going to go in the wild card round, and I'm going to select The Batman. I'm obsessed with this movie. I saw it in the theaters, and I think I've watched it like 3 times since on HBO Max. The meme culture around it, not like the making fun of it like a Morbius or a Venom Let There Be Carnage, more about just like loving Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne as much as like other like cult classic characters like Ryan Gosling in Drive or like Patrick Bateman in American Psycho. For whatever reason, that's just like made me appreciate the movie more and Pattinson's portrayal more. And yeah, I can't get enough of The Batman. Got to be my first pick.
Love it. I will say I didn't do a lot of preparation beforehand, but I made a top 3. I thought I had 3 things in my head that I thought without a doubt have to go in the first round. And one of them was The Batman because it fits in that wild card spot. So nice. Great choice. I got the second pick. And with the second pick, you mentioned Patrick Bateman, American Psycho. Well, somebody happens to be in the best Batman movie ever created is Christian Bale himself, with Heath Ledger, the best villain ever in a superhero movie, maybe the best superhero movie ever. I will go with The Dark Knight in the legacy position as my second choice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry,
damn.
Garrett. I know you wanted it.
Yeah, damn. That's rough. Pivot. So, let's see here. I was trying to kind of deduce what your third top pick would have been, because I was kind of tunnel visioned on Dark Knight. So I think I'm just gonna.
I will say it's one that just like it stands alone among its category is just like the top of its kind.
Yeah, you're gonna hint at me, and I'm not gonna know, so I'm just gonna rip a live action TV show and go with Peacemaker, because I think that was a really successful series, and I want more of it. It was hilarious.
Great call.
Yeah, I'm gonna rip Peacemaker. There it is.
That's a great call.
Yeah.
That wasn't my in my top 3, but you still have a second chance to now get that in the second round running the straight snake draft. But I still think that's a fantastic pick. Great job.
I'm probably not going to pick it because when you told me about this draft, I only had one thing in my mind that I felt I needed on my team. And this is going to be a crazy second round pick, but I think it's respectable. Something that I just recently got into because of my partner Nina, and she's been watching on the side, and I kind of caught a few episodes and was like, wow, this is fire. And that is the Harley Quinn animated TV show.
A great choice.
It's incredible.
A great choice.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's I agree. It's something I just got into as well. Unfortunately, I can only watch season 3. Season 1 and 2 aren't available anywhere here. And so I basically started on 3, but as soon as they're watchable, I'm going to be rewatching. Now, do I go with my head for the votes or the heart? Because my other first round choice is still sitting there, but it's not my favorite. And so
go with your heart. You got to go with your heart, I feel.
You do, but I also have a reputation to uphold. And so I'm going to do it, and it's Batman the Animated Series. An animated TV.
That's fair.
Damn.
That's a fair top 3. Yeah, I respect that. It makes sense.
For me personally, there are 3 other DC cartoons I enjoy more than that. But I still like Batman the Animated Series, and it's wildly considered to be the best animated superhero show ever. So
it's a really good pick, and I was hoping it would get back to me because that's one of those ones where I don't have as much sentimental attachment to it as other people because I only watched it live, quote unquote, towards the end of its run.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just undoubtedly just the highest of DC animated quality. And it's something I've been meaning to rewatch since I believe it is on HBO Max, but we never know what's on HBO Max today versus tomorrow. So I guess I'll have to double check. I got back to back here, right?
Yes, you do.
Okay, so I can kind of play a little smart and personal too. Okay, I got a wild card already. I'll go with my DCEU pick. And I'm going to do it for the people because I'm going with Man of Steel. Damn right. Great movie. Has still aged like a fine wine, in my humble opinion. And there's a reason why 9 years after its release, people still clamor for a sequel. I think that this was Zack Snyder at the height of his powers within the DCEU because it was a fairly contained story. And we see how crazy he gets with contained stories, as evident by the size and scope of Man of Steel. But we didn't have to worry about introducing X, Y, and Z or hinting at the greater world. We focused on Clark Kent, Kal-El, Superman. 3 sides of this one character, and I thought they were all done beautifully. So I'm going to go with Man of Steel for my DCEU pick, even though I really wanted to go with Aquaman personally because I love that character, but that's not going to give me any votes.
That's fair. I think, for me personally, if anybody picks Zack Snyder's Justice League, I'm gonna be upset that I have to be using the hashtag in the votes and for vote in the polls and stuff like that. So I'm kind of hoping that we don't do that one. As soon as you said I'm gonna go with the people and just I thought you're gonna try and pick that one up, I was like, oh god, don't do it.
No, I want to go with the one that I understand that there is a little bit there's fan support behind it, but I genuinely love Man of Steel. I genuinely love that movie. Zack Snyder's Justice League. Only seen it once. Wildly big improvement from the theatrical version, but nothing I'm begging to boot up anytime soon.
Yeah. I'm with you there. Round you got the first pick in round 3. Who do you got for us?
Round 3. So I know my animated TV. Oh, you guys have both picked animated TV, so I can just save that till the end. I
True.
guess we're gonna go.
Unless I wild card you with it.
I want to go animated film because this will definitely be taken if I wait. And we're gonna go Batman: Mask of the Phantasm. It's one of the best, and I think one of the best DC films. Period, regardless of animation or live action or anything in between. The twists and turns and the way that they were able to create kind of, I believe it's like a new character within that world, I think laid the groundwork for one of my favorite video games, Batman Arkham Knight, to be such a success because it allowed to kind of borrow some of those storytelling techniques, even though we all know that that's a Red Hood story at the end of the day in Arkham Knight. Still, the execution, I saw some parallels between Mask of the Phantasm. It's been a minute since I've seen it, but I know the quality still holds up because I see how film Twitter regards it.
Wildly considered to be the top DC animated movie. Two things I want to touch on. Mask of the Phantasm, a lot of people think that that story could be adapted and into live action in Robert Pattinson's universe, your first round pick. Is that something that you'd like to see in maybe movie 2 or 3? And then Garrett, I know you are just the biggest fan of the Batman Arkham franchise as well. I figured after Liam gives his first take, you guys could chat about the game for a couple minutes before my pick.
Allowed to pick a game
The what?
No.
Sorry.
as a wild card? Because
that'd be
no.
crazy. That would be something.
But I thought about that in it beforehand, but then I just thought that can be another draft.
Some of the Batman Arkham games, genuinely, if you just like watch the cutscenes on YouTube, it's like, damn, this is great stuff. But Mask of the Phantasm in the Pattinson universe, I wouldn't be against it, but I think that there's such rich mythology to pick and choose from the comics lore where you don't have to adapt a full story. Like, I want to see Court of Owls, but I want to see the Court of Owls characters used in an original story within the Batman universe rather than adapt, The Long Halloween, or rather than adapt Under the Red Hood. Take those characters and make your own story. Mask of the Phantasm, I'm sure you could theoretically, but I'd worry about it being too beat by beat and in a universe that's slowly being built that just crushed it with their first original story, if you will. I think we should continue to do stuff like that.
100% agree.
Love it. Garrett, you got anything you want to talk about the games about before I fire my next choice?
Don't open that floodgate because we'll just not finish this draft and talk about Andor. There's too much to talk about.
Still on the go, so we'll keep it rolling. So I went with my brain at the animated TV position and didn't pick one of my favorite animated TV shows of all time, something that is in my top 3 favorite cartoons of all time. And so I'm picking the movie that goes along with it. It's Batman Beyond: Return of the Joker in my animated film.
I love Batman Beyond. Terry McGinnis is such a cool character. And
Terry McGinnis is top 3 DC characters for me. It's Terry, it's Dick Grayson, it's Static Shock, Virgil Hawkins.
Do you have a fan cast for live action?
I've thought about it a little bit, and so I actually had it would require a little bit of a backstory adjustment, just based on the things we learn in Justice League Unlimited about Batman Beyond and stuff like that. But I was originally thinking DeFaro Wunatai from Have you ever seen Reservation Dogs or heard of the show? He's one of the leads in Reservation Dogs.
Yeah.
And while it's not exactly, he wouldn't exactly fit the background of Irish like McInnes, but he just I think he could embody Terry's personality just like perfect. And his character in Reservation Dogs reminds me of Terry McGinnis a little bit.
Interesting.
How about you?
A fan cast for me for Terry McGinnis?
Yeah.
It's tough. I mean, I don't hate Jacob Elordi from what's it called? Euphoria, just because he has the hair and he has like the build. The better pairing is just Michael Keaton as older Bruce Wayne. Like,
yes, that's
I'm so
it.
stoked for the Flash to see his iteration of like older Bruce Wayne. But when I watch the Batman Beyond animated show, when I see older Bruce Wayne cartoon. I'm like, that's Michael Keaton. Like, let's make that
Exactly.
happen.
If there's one thing I hope that comes out of the DCEU, it's Michael Keaton as Old Man Bruce, and we get to see Terry McGinnis and the whole squad of like young people like Satana and Static Shock as part of that crew as well.
Dude, that'd be
Garrett,
sweet.
you got back-to-back picks. Who
Is
you
my
got
turn
here?
again? Okay.
It is.
Let's see. What do we have open here? We got Legacy, we got Wild Card, we got DCEU. All right, I'm gonna rip my DCEU pick. Tough to follow up Man of Steel because it is a great movie and one of my favorites as well. However, I was very pleasantly surprised at the original or the first DCEU Wonder Woman, because I don't know what I expected going in, but it certainly wasn't what I got. And it, to this day, has one of my favorite scenes in a superhero movie, which is like the trench scene. I just think that's a scene that sticks with me to this day. So I think it's definitely one of the top DCEU films, and proud of that pick. So moving on to my next, let's see.
Love it.
I'm wondering if I feel like this is gonna be. I don't know if this is gonna stay till the next round, but whatever. I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna go with my animated film, which is, for me, was my introduction to the story. It was the first time I ever like saw it, or I hadn't read it before. But I really enjoy the Flashpoint paradox. I love seeing like Thomas Wayne be just murderous. So yeah, there you go.
That was my backup. If I didn't get Phantasm, it was going to be Flashpoint. Yeah, shout out Thomas Wayne Batman, very cool character. And man, if the DCEU executed itself better, they planted that seed of getting Jeffrey Dean Morgan, because he's in Batman v Superman for literally 3 seconds, and they did that because they definitely wanted him to be freaking Negan Batman in a Flashpoint movie. It's never gonna happen, but hey, he would have been great.
He would have absolutely been great. Yeah, I agree with that.
I love it. I'm still distracted by chat where Layla's going off right now, and she said her DCEU movie is Wonder Woman 84 featuring Pedro Pascal. Not for the movie, but for Pedro Pascal.
Okay,
and
that's
so
a little bit more understandable.
I respect
I know
the
she's a Pedro
reasoning.
stan.
Exactly. I respect the reasoning behind this one. So both of you have done your DCEU film, which gives me a little bit more time. I don't gotta drop that one in here yet. My live action TV, I had it narrowed between two. You know, I gotta make sure I don't have just an all Batman team here. You know, I got all Batman rolling so far, and while that'll work for votes, I gotta get something. It'd be untrue to my heart. Touchdown Cardinals, Ruben's dropping in the chat. It's against the Saints, otherwise I would ignore it, but I'm a Saints fan, so I gotta give him the I didn't see who it was. He'll probably drop that in chat too. I'm gonna go with my wild card spot, and this is one specifically just because I'm rewatching it as we speak, and I just fucking adore it. The storytelling is amazing. The writing is top tier. The characters we get in it, the variations are just unbelievable. I'm going with Young Justice.
Good show.
Yeah, I should have
so
picked
good.
it. Damn it, I should have picked it.
That was I think I watched it when it was on. Was it on Cartoon Network, right? For a little bit. Yeah, I think I watched season 1 on Cartoon Network live, and it crushed me when it was like canceled for a little bit, but they finished it, right? It's done.
So it started back up, and so they brought it back for season 3 like 2 years ago, and now there's a 4, 5, and a 4 or 5, and maybe even a 6 now too.
Wow, that was a
but
DC
I think
Universe thing, right?
Yeah, but they're a little bit shorter seasons, and so I bought the DVD for the 3rd season, knowing I'd binged the first 2 seasons when it was on Netflix, and I was so excited to watch. And then all of Young Justice, except for season 3, popped on Canadian Amazon Prime, It's literally 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And so I just rewatched 1, 2 with my wife Ava. She watched for the first time, and then we're gonna go through the rest of it now for the first time together. And I'm pretty pumped because I'm just adoring this show. So yeah, Young Justice is gonna be my wild card.
Yeah, I had a feeling it wasn't going to make it to the next round, and I gambled and I lost. Fair.
I just love it. I love it. It's so good. It gives me Static Shock. It gives me Nightwing. It's a dream.
Fair.
Liam, you're back with 2 picks.
All right, we're gonna get the legacy out of the way because I got back to back, so I'm gonna think of my other one before I select this one. And this one, I guess, will be one of my first polarizing picks. Maybe Man of Steel is as well, but I was shocked because I saw this movie in theaters and I loved it, and then I didn't really become a part of like the online discourse of films until
Don't do
a couple years later. And I was
Don't
like,
do
how
it
is
to me.
this a film? I'll just spit it out. The Dark Knight Rises. I love this movie. Freaking Tom Hardy as Bane is such an incredible villain, and because he's the 2 to Ledger's 1, he's just always glossed over, and rightfully so. Heath Ledger provided a generational performance in The Dark Knight, but Tom Hardy is so magnetic. I'm a big pro wrestling guy, and I love someone who can cut a promo. I don't care about the in-ring work rate or any of that stuff. If you can't put on a good match unless there's a good story behind it, and a story starts with a speech, and Bane has so many great speeches in this movie, and it's one that I can pop on whenever and just enjoy it. I understand that people don't care for time. They don't think it's a worthy follow-up to The Dark Knight. I see all those perspectives, but film is subjective, and through the lens I always watch The Dark Knight, I always leave a happy camper. So I'm proud of that pick right there. I don't care how divisive it might be.
Hell yeah, I'm with you there. TJ knows I'm a big Rises fan.
I love that movie too. I agree with another pick 6, back-to-back pick 6s. This is unbelievable. People are saying poor TJ in the chat, but I'm okay with it because I made a couple DFS teams today with the Cardinals defense as the MVP of that team. So we're going to be cooking a little bit. It's okay. But yeah, I like The Dark Knight Rises as well because if you ignore the whitewashing of Bane and Ra's al Ghul in Begins and Dark Knight Rises, and if you ignore a few plot hole things that don't really make sense in Rises, it is enjoyable from beginning to end. Like, it is a fun movie to watch. The speech is exactly what you say. Yeah, it's top tier. What do you got after to debut round 5 here?
Okay, this is where it gets tough because it makes sense to go live action TV because you guys both have your animated TV, but I almost want to be forced into picking something because I can't decide between the two in my head.
That's where I'm at too.
Right? I'm going to go animated TV. I'm going to go with a heart pick, Justice League Unlimited. I freaking love that cartoon. I still watch episodes of it to this day. I love the kind of random selection. It's like a more serious superhero squad in the sense of like, all right, who's teaming up today? The episode I always go back to that I remember watching as a kid was the team of Supergirl, Green Arrow, Captain Atom, and one other guy, maybe Green Lantern. I think it was John Stewart Green Lantern on that team. And I just love just the unlimited nature of Justice League Unlimited, appropriately titled. And to me, I think that's what the DCEU could be one day. If done properly, we could get to a level where, oh my God, the Justice League is like a full-on league, like a national football league of superheroes. And we get the freaking thing in the outer space, their home base and everything. I love that cartoon, and I want to rewatch it maybe tonight. Maybe I'll pop on a couple episodes tonight. I'm just remembering how much I love it. That was actually one of my pluses of Black Adam. It felt like Justice League Unlimited in Act 1. No spoilers. You'll know when you see it.
I like
Justice
that.
League. Yeah, Young Justice doesn't happen without Justice League Unlimited. That's one of the reasons I love Young Justice is the direct correlation with Justice League Unlimited, the interacting with the Leaguers, stuff like that.
And real quick, banger theme. so good.
Yes.
The theme song,
unbelievable. Top
oh.
tier. And it's like you said, like it should be. It's the model. It doesn't make sense how they've screwed things up so badly when they have their flagship character, Batman. They're with just a great slew of animated series content that you can pick and choose ideas from. Justice League Unlimited, it's perfect. Young Justice, it's perfect. They make unbelievable animated shows and movies. The blueprints are there. It's annoying they haven't put it together yet, but hopefully it's happening up in the future. It's back to me. I guess I'm going to roll with my DCEU here because I also want to have to be forced to choose a live action one here because it's just so difficult for me. It's either the votes or the heart. It's the votes or the heart, and I don't know which one to go with, so I want to make somebody else make me choose. And so I'll go with my DCEU pick, and I will go with James Gunn's The Suicide Squad.
Good selection.
I like it.
Great time.
I wanted Wonder Woman. It was my pick too. I like it.
Sorry.
It was a lot of fun. I remember seeing that in theaters. One of the first, I think, back summer 2021, excuse me. And yeah, Gunn's humor usually lands for me, and this movie, it was like almost perfect in terms of every joke just crushed.
It was also such an improvement on the first one, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like Gunn's humor. I think the only place it didn't really hit for me was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I loved the first one. I loved Peacemaker. I loved the Suicide Squad. I know it's a great movie. The humor just didn't fit for me, and that's why it's in my bottom tier of the MCU. But this isn't an MCU draft. It's a DC one. And so yeah, I'm rolling with the Suicide Squad as my second last pick. Garrett, what do you got for us for your last two? You got your wild card. You got your legacy.
All right, I'm gonna go with my legacy first, and I kind of have this theme on my team. My team's kind of wacky. My team's like really wacky. So I'm gonna pick a wacky legacy movie, one that is definitively not a great movie. However, a movie that is a very big part of my childhood, and I'm going Bat Nipples, Batman and Robin. It's a bad movie, but I love that movie so much because I don't know. As a kid, it's probably like the movie I watched the most. Just a comfort movie for me. And my team's wacky, so I thought, might as well add another wacky pick to it. And I'm unashamed of that.
The applause is for the fact of you said it's a big part of your childhood, and it's also a big part of my childhood for the same reasons. And I was like, is he actually about to draft Batman?
That's what I thought you were going to say when you did Dark Knight Rises, but we feel the same way about both of them, so it really could have gone either way.
Dark Knight Rises is divisive. I don't know if Batman and Robin is divisive. I think people recognize the quality, and they just have enjoyment on a spectrum with it. But yeah, that movie, I think I have it on VHS.
Same.
Speaking of TNT movies, a classic. Oh, this is on TV right now. I'll just throw this on there. You guys were bonding over that. I liked it as well, but I was busy laughing at Ruben putting Bat Nipples on the graphic as your selection under Legacy, and you just going, it was a big part of my childhood. Bat Nipples.
I mean,
so fantastic soundbite. Great stuff. Garrett, you got a wild card to finish off your draft. Keep it wacky. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I am going to keep it wacky because it was either screw one of you guys because there's an obvious choice here in Titans, which is a great show, but I'm going to keep it. Why are you shaking your head like that? It's not a great show.
It's okay.
It's a good show.
It's fine.
It's a good show. Anyways, moving past that, I'm gonna go really wacky, and I'm gonna go back really, really far to Adam West's Batman.
I thought you were gonna go Smallville.
Good stuff.
Like, damn.
I went wackier than that. I think in my head.
Yeah,
Good
no,
stuff. I like it. Adam West Batman as a wild card. I think that's good stuff. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I think it fits the team, fits the mold. I think that'll be okay.
I'm glad I have your approval, TJ.
I can't get the analyst side out of me whenever we do drafts. So, I wish. Damn it, I'm not last. So Liam is still gonna.
I wonder if we're thinking of the same two.
For me, it's Smallville and it's Arrow. And the other one I somewhat considered was Watchmen because it's very well critically acclaimed.
Oh, yeah.
But
It's
it's
DC adjacent. Like, I know it's DC,
Yeah.
but like not the DC we think of. You know what I mean?
I even would have been I also, to be clear, I would have accepted the Sandman. I would have accepted Lucifer, but both technically DC properties. But you know, Smallville, it started it off. I watched it as a kid. I got to meet Eric. Yep, I got to meet Erica Durance. Oh, but I also got to meet Kat McNamara, who of course plays Oliver Queen's daughter in Arrow. Two of my favorite shows. Well, I would fail this
watching this existential crisis from
I would
like
fail
a third.
this city if I didn't choose Arrow. But Smallville was Canadian produced. Gonna go with Arrow.
Damn.
Going with Arrow. It's what I enjoyed more. I'm going with Arrow.
That's fair. Arrow is probably my 1A. I feel like I would be cheating if I took Arrow because I stopped watching it after season 4, I think. I watched way more of Smallville. I think I finished Smallville. Smallville, another one. I didn't watch live. I bought every single season on DVD through Amazon back in middle school. That was the only way I could get my hands on it.
Nice.
But yeah, I'll go Smallville for my final live action TV. But just to give some praise to Arrow, if the MCU is what introduced me to this crazy career I have now, Arrow was like what really set it on its course. Like I fell in love with that show. Season 1 was on Netflix, and it was in the era of seasons wouldn't go on streaming until after they came out on DVD and Blu-ray. So in the summer, when I was like, where's season 2? And it's like, oh, it's not coming until September. I freaking bought it on iTunes because I needed to watch season 2 so bad. And yeah, shout out Deathstroke.
Yeah, he was so awesome.
I've done the same. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Manu Bennett. And I know his name still. Yep.
Nice,
yeah.
Nice. And did you stay long enough to see our guy Pug from She-Hulk, Josh Segara, as Adrian Chase, but not Vigilante Prometheus?
Yes, that's the same guy.
That's the same guy.
That is crazy to me. Oh my! Wasn't he at? Are you a wrestling guy at all, TJ?
Somewhat. I got Jeff Hardy beside me here, but I don't follow it vigorously. But we got a couple big wrestling guys, AF and CJ and Damon in the chat right now. Oh, I just knocked over Spider-Man.
Stephen Amell wrestled a couple of matches on like the independent. He wrestled with WWE, but he wrestled on the indie scene, and I'm pretty sure Josh Segura accompanied him to the ring at an independent pay-per-view called All In 2018. That's so crazy to me. My mind just like melted.
That's really cool. He is I know he's a wrestling fan too, and he like with his chat on Phase Zero when the comic book crew had him on over there was just so much fun. He seems like the nicest guy
he's
ever.
A great guy.
Last pick. Oh, that's done. Sorry, that was Smallville.
Yeah.
You went Smallville. And that's it. So that's our draft. We got the graphic up there, and we still got to talk about Andor, so I'm not even going to recap it. You guys can see it, and people who are listening to this in podcast form, if you need a recap, that's all right. Head over to the Agents of Fandom socials. I'm going to be posting this on Instagram and Facebook, Agents of Fandom, and on Twitter as well, at Agents Fandom. You will be able to vote for who you think should win, and we'll do that over the next few days. Oh, one of the things I liked about that just couldn't get me off of Arrow is just I got all the storylines in my head. I can still see Stephen Amell doing his chin-up bars to get the things up to the next one, which is
salmon
ladder, the salmon ladder, which is so wildly difficult. I tried it at a American Ninja Warrior course when I was in Thailand,
I was
and
gonna
I
say
got
it's a
one.
CrossFit thing for sure.
I got one. I got up to
Yeah,
one, and
but
then
you're
that's all I
also
could get.
like entirely top body mass, so
Honestly,
it
that
would
made
be
it hard.
much
That made it
harder for you.
hard.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it makes it
Yeah.
much harder for you.
The guy, yeah, there was a guy I was with. He was about like 140 pounds, and he did it. He got like three of them. It was pretty impressive. But at that time, Arrow and Agents of Shield, those two shows were my two that I would schedule my week around. That was required viewing. And the show we're talking about right now, Andor, one of the reasons why I loved this episode so much, episode 7. So if you haven't seen the episode and you're planning on it, you maybe hit the mute button, toss a like in there before you go. But one of the reasons I love this episode so much is it gave me Captain America Winter Soldier feels. It gave me Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. feels, where when that Hydra revealed happened and it shook up all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you have no idea what the hell is going on. And this Andor episode felt like that to me, where from the very start, where we got the mysterious meeting in Coruscant with one character who I wasn't sure was that either a new character or was that Stellan Skarsgård's assistant in his shop with him. I wasn't sure about that, but either way, it starts with just mystery. We don't know who's on what side. We don't know who we're supporting. And my ADHD brain gets theories going constant, going crazy. And so when I hit 100% and I can see it coming, it's boring. When I'm surprised, it's just like, it gets me so exciting. And this episode really started doing that for me. Liam, what do you think of the series as a whole? And what did you think about episode 7?
Yeah, Andor has been such a surprise to me because it's weird to say a surprise because I feel like we all went in with such not low expectations, but not expecting this to be this grand Star Wars show. And it never has been that, but it's excelled so much at what it set out to do. And even though I don't think the streaming numbers are anything impressive, and I don't think the online discourse, I think we see it because we see it in a vacuum, but overall, not a lot of people are watching this week to week. And I like how it hasn't like wavered. It hasn't like upped its marketing campaign or tried to put any like flashy mentions of like Emperor Palpatine in TV spots just because it's so married to what it is. Like this is an espionage story set in the Star Wars universe. I wouldn't even call this a Star Wars show. It's an espionage show set in a galaxy far, far away. Diego Luna's awesome. He's incredible in terms of his acting performance. And I love getting to see the civilian perspective on this grander world. My favorite shot from this episode this week was when, I forgot the character's name, but she's like kind of like walking through the forest and you see a freaking Star Destroyer come in overhead. And it was such like a, not a full on shaky cam perspective, but enough that I was like, that's what it would look like if I looked up and there was like a plane coming by my house, but it's a Star Destroyer. Like that to me, that is realizing the Star Wars IP to its full potential because we're not just focused on the Skywalkers and lightsabers and Sith Lords. No, we're doing Elseworld stories set in this great universe.
And what I love about it, I think you can kind of look at it from two lenses. Is this episode, I definitely felt the espionage spy story more so than I felt since kind of the beginning with this one, and I just loved it so much. But I also kind of feel like you can look at it from two views. It's either a spy story set in far away, not very relevant to a lot, or not relevant's the wrong word, but not as similar to the Star Wars content we've got in the past, or it's like the most Star Warsy thing we've gotten because it's like the ground level of the rebellion. It's the ground level of the Empire. It adds so much context to the fear and the hold and the control of the Empire.
It's
I love
gritty.
2 episodes. Yeah, it's, and like 2 episodes ago, the title was "The Axe Doesn't Forget," and I really felt that in this one because all of a sudden it's just they're sitting in a boardroom. Oh yeah, go over the sentences again, double them, triple them, do this, make sure we lock this down. And it was nothing. They move on, they have their lunch, they go to the next thing. And then we see Cassian when he's all jailed up at the end. The axe might be forgetting, but the tree definitely didn't. Garrett, what did you think about episode 7?
It was amazing. I was I felt like I was on the edge of my seat the entire time. I think there's some of my favorite live action scenes of like any Star Wars possibly in this episode. I've never I'm a little embarrassed to admit this, but I was at one point like with the Imperial ISB officer when the one dude was like trying to rat out the other officer lady, and they had that whole discourse in the group, and then the main guy just shut it all down. I was like, damn it, I hate the Empire, but that was a really cool move. Like, I'm on your side right now. And then at Mon Mothma's party, the camera work of them walking around, moving from room to room. Yeah, her telling, yes, exactly. Because there was times when I was looking at him and I was like, dude, you're looking obvious, dog, smile. And then there was a time when she looked a direction and then he looked like immediately after. And have you ever been like, yo, there's something behind you, but like, don't look. And then the person like looks immediately and you're like, come on, man, I said don't look. I was getting that from that situation. And then I have to just say this once every episode because it continues to be probably one of my favorite parts of this show is the costume design. Like Mon Mothma's fit, my girlfriend literally said to me, I want my wedding dress to look like that, but like in white. Like they're going crazy with the fits in the Senate and Coruscant and all of that, and Luthen and Stellan Skarsgård. It continues to be one I keep saying continues to be one of my favorite parts of the series, but obviously there's a lot of this show that I really like. So
I think the way we got to talk about this episode, because there was so much going on, is not timeline, not start to finish, but character by character. Because each character sort of had their own little arc. And let's talk about Luthen, Stellan Skarsgård's character first, because this is somebody that came in, we didn't know if we could trust him. A few more episodes come on, and we seem like we're warming up to him. He's on our side. He's a good guy. And I'm getting real big. Who is he funding? It's got to be Saw Gerrera. Like he seems extremist to a T. And that seems to be the number one person he's probably doing some funding for right now.
Yeah, I mean,
Garrett,
he's
did you
not
get that same vibe.
Yeah, and he's not like he's a good guy in the sense that like he knows what needs to be done to get out from under the boot of the Empire, but he's not a good guy in the sense of like he knows he has to do some fucked up shit for this to work. He knows that innocent people are going to have to die. He knows like people are going to be put in jail, but the cost at the end is going to be greater, which we end up seeing. You know, they get back under some kind of regime somehow, but yeah, he's a good guy in the sense of he's kickstarting and funding what we all know to be an incredibly good thing for this galaxy, but it needs to be led by someone like him who is willing to do those in the gray area things, and that's where Cassian operates, and we know that from Rogue One. So I'm loving the show, and this is from somebody who, again, I say it every episode, but I was not stoked for the show. I didn't like Cassian Andor as a character, but Diego Luna's passion is like so infused throughout this show, and everyone comes to play every single episode.
Absolutely, they do. And I think what this show does really well, that also Clone Wars did, which we're starting to see more and more tie-ins to these shows, and that Rebels did as well, is just show all the branches of politics and all the different opinions people have, and the line that some people can't figure out where it is, that this is something that all the quote unquote good side of the Force, the light side of the Force, and the rebellion have struggled with since the beginning, is we want to win the war at all costs, but at what point for our missions is the cost too great? At what point are we losing sight of we're here to save lives, not take lives? And that's something that I think I've now noticed Luthen, I think, is closer to the side of we're getting it done at all costs. I just only care about winning the war, not the battles. and doesn't have a whole bunch of empathy left in there based on, I'm assuming, what he's lost along the way. What do you think, Liam?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of just Stellan Skarsgård's performance in this too, because he is someone who I feel like adds so much more legitimacy to this project. Not to say that it necessarily needs it, but he is one of like the top build names on this show for a good reason. And I like that they gave him a nuanced character like this, to where we're still finding out more and more about him as the weeks go on. And even though, like you said, I do expect it to be Saw Gerrera at the end of that trail. I think that would be a very cool reveal to have Forrest Whitaker, pop up towards the end and have them like share a scene or something like that. But yeah, just having him in this and having him deliver the lines the way he does, I can never fully buy into trusting him, which to me is a super key thing to the show as a whole. I don't want to trust literally anyone in this. I like having, like Garrett, you said, you don't want to root for the Empire in that moment, but also you're like, that was a little cool thing that they did. Like, I like having the shades of gray across the entire galaxy, regardless of where the powers lie.
Yeah. You're muted, Garrett.
Classic, once per episode.
Once per episode, yeah.
Stellan does so much with his gestures and his facial expressions, more so than just his lines, the way he delivers them, but his body acting in this show is on another level.
Yes, absolutely. And there's two characters I want to go over quick before we touch on some more that we'll want to talk about for a little bit longer. And the first one is Marva and Petunia from Harry Potter, but Marva, who is, of course, kind of works as Cassian's mom in this show. And she was one of the characters that really kept me on my toes, because I totally misread her vibe. I totally misread what was going on at the beginning. When Cassian got back, I fully thought she was done with him and was selling him out. Like, I fully thought she was like, you know what? This is my home, and you've now brought the Empire here. I'm pissed off. They're hurting people I like, and so I'm just going to give them to you. I thought that's what was going to end up being going on. But instead, she was hesitant because the exact polar opposite. She was ready to rebel. She was ready to be a part of the rebellion, which we, of course, know Cassian will be eventually, but he's still not fully willing to embrace it yet, which we'll touch on more after.
He hasn't read the manifesto. Damn it.
Yeah, exactly. The other one I wanted to just that I had the same kind of unsure of was Mon Mothma's banker friend, who I thought was obviously, like, it seems like he's a friend. And this is a character that I didn't get his name at the beginning, but I was so interested to know, like, have I met him before? Is this a character that's popped up along the way in Star Wars, like Rebels or Clone Wars ever? But I didn't even catch what his name was. He obviously seems like he's a friend, but he gave a little unsure look at the end.
That was one of my favorite parts of the episode, when he was like, I don't know, we were friends, and I think my politics are maybe a little bit extreme for you. And she was like, you can tell, she was like, fuck yes, I can be free. Like, I know now that I can. And then she actually ends up saying it. Like, I didn't know how I could be sure that I could say this to you without screwing everything over. And then you saying that was the key to unlock the door to that statement. And that was such a satisfying scene, because I was like, me too. My politics are so extreme too. Fuck the Empire. I'm with you, man.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, that was a big part for me too. I liked it quite a bit. But it just showed us how difficult Mon Mothma's journey is right now. She's struggling to navigate that line of when is it okay to sacrifice some soldiers in a war. Liam, what did you think about kind of all the dilemmas she's going through, the ongoing difficulties with her husband and daughter, which we got small snippets of, enough to make us think like this was laying down a little something for us, but I don't exactly know what with. What do you think of Mon Mothma's arc in this episode?
It's awesome to have such a spotlight put on this character, because this is what prequel storytelling should do. Like, when you're going to set a story before the main trilogy or the main franchise, whatever you want. It should enhance the viewing after the fact. One thing I loved about Rogue One is Orson Krennic, right? When we go to A New Hope, and there's that missing seat within all the Imperial high up officers, and they're talking to Vader, and there's a missing seat. Like, oh my God, that belonged to Krennic, and him not being there, there's some weight behind it. Now, when we see Mon Mothma, and I believe it's Return of the Jedi is where she has her prominent role, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, I think so.
I think.
Yes.
I just watched Black
Don't-
Adam, so the amount of storytelling that I was forced to follow was very bare minimum. So turning it up to Star Wars intellect is like asking a lot of my brain power, but we're getting through it. Anyways,
You're the best of the
seeing her
best.
have-
That's why we knew you. That's why we knew you could do this. I feel you as well. Anything Star Wars, I can see the stuff. I
Yeah.
can't place what project it was from.
There's so many different timelines and everything. But anyways, having Mon Mothma have such a crucial arc in this show, almost running parallel in terms of like gravity to Diego Luna's Cassian Andor, is awesome because it enhances the viewing of the original trilogy. And it's also really cool to see it. The actress's name escapes me right now, but the fact that she was in, I believe, deleted scenes for Revenge of the Sith, didn't get to realize that. And now here we are 17 years later. And rather than having, maybe 5 minutes of screen time that ended up on the cutting room floor in one movie of a trilogy, she's having a multi-episode arc in season 1 of, I believe, what's going to end up being a 2-season show. And like, spoiler alert, she's not going to die because she's alive in the original trilogy. So unless they write her off somewhere, like, we're going to get a lot more Mon Mothma. And I've been digging what we've been seeing so far.
And what we don't see in the other stuff that's set after Andor is a husband or a daughter or Luthen. So that's a name that we've never ever heard. So those are people I'm looking, keeping my eyes on, and maybe possibly a little bit worried for.
That makes sense. And the last interaction I want to talk about before we wrap it up with specifically Cassian Andor himself is the interaction between Vel and Clea, Luthen's attendant, and Vel, of course, the lieutenant from the past few episodes. Yes. She wants her to go and take out Andor because he's a loose end, and we can't have that loose end. She wants him to get rid of him. Vel didn't seem super thrilled about that. She felt really passionately about her team, and then she just found out it was all kind of crap before at the end there. And so, what do you think of that interaction, Garrett? I'll throw it to you first. What did you think about their interaction? Did that like catch you off guard at all? That it was like, get rid of him? But then also, do you think that interaction at the beginning of the episode had anything to do with Andor's fate at the end, him in 6 years of prison?
I had never once thought about that until this very second. No, I don't think so, because I think that scene is to show like his encounter with the stormtrooper, and how like in this case he actually isn't doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And he's still harassed and grabbed, hung by the droid.
That was the biggest thing that holds me back from that theory. Is like, that was my first initial thought was, oh, what if this was her getting him into jail so she doesn't have to kill him, blah blah blah. And then my next thought was, no, like the theme of this show has been racism, classism, systematic oppression, and showing how entrenched that is in the empire, and thematically showing the relevances to real life as well. And police brutality was kind of a big one in this one, and that just showed like, oh no, he didn't get a trial. He just got sent. He just got sent for X amount of time, and that's how it works in real life a lot of time too. It's, oh, you can't afford bail, all right, you're just going to get sent here for 1.5 years for this incredibly minor thing, so we can pump up our prison systems. And similar situations there. And so that was the biggest thing holding me back from that theory. Liam, what do you think of the interaction? Do you think it has anything to do with the ending?
I do kind of like that idea of like there's a preconceived motive going on with how Andor is treated at the very end.
Mm-hmm.
Correct me if like I give me some perspective on that ending scene, right? Because he didn't do literally anything. He was walking. Like is he being treated misfairly because he looked suspicious, or is it because like they recognize his face from somewhere, or is he literally just wrong place, wrong time in this scenario?
I took it as wrong place, wrong time. He's going out to get like whatever for his girl,
Right.
and there's some kind of a riot is incited, or something
Yeah.
is stolen by a group of people. I don't know, but as he's walking to the store, we see like the stormtroopers chasing people running away, and
Right.
he's like looking around at that, like what the hell is going on? And so then the stormtroopers like, you're looking around, you're suspicious, are you part of them? So I don't think
Yeah.
it was we know you. I think it was literally just like, we're assholes and we can do this, so we're going to.
Yeah, I think it was, to me, it was either the preconceived Vel, did I get that right? Vel, yeah. Either Vel had something to do with it, or just good old fashioned fascism of, we are in power, we are going to abuse our power, and hey, you're shifty. You fit a description of someone that my biases think would be shifty. Pop in jail.
I part of me thinks like there would have been at least some sort of indication at the very end that when the judge who was just kind of like sentencing people, there would have been a slight conversation or like a look or something to indicate that this was a person of interest. So even though I like the idea of like this episode kind of being bookended by things that are related, part of me thinks we're going to kick off next episode by having him in control of the Empire and him needing to escape the control before they figure out who he is. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So there's kind of like this race against time of like, I got to get out of here because sooner than later, they're going to understand my ties to this greater machine. And it'll kind of be like those two narratives running parallel.
There is so much going on too that we're not really gonna, like, it's kind of like we've talked about. They do 3 episode arcs, is what it seems like. The first 3 episodes tied together, the next 3 episodes tied together. We'll get some more info on this to be able to tie these together after the next one. Sorry, Garrett, you look like you're about to say something there.
I do. I wanna bring up something that AF said in the chat, that as Clea and Vel meet, Canary music is playing in the background. And he is alluding to, he thinks that Clea could be Cassian's sister, and I think that there's some weight behind that, because there's a couple moments in the episode, one where Cassian and Bix are chatting, and he's talking about the Luthen and her contact, and he's like, he knew everything about me. How did he know everything about me? And she's like, I don't know, but he did. So it could be that his assistant is his sister that he's been looking for, and she knows that. And then
And
also
then
Marva said something about it as
forget
well.
about your sister.
Yeah,
Just
stop
forget about her.
stop
She's
looking
dead.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's pretty important. And thanks to AF for bringing that up in the chat. It allowed me to connect some dots that I previously did not see.
I love that too, because then that kind of lends to one of two things. Either there's a part of that conversation we didn't see, and she was trying to get Vel to help save Cassian, get him off the grid somewhere like jail where he can't be killed. Or she's pissed. She thinks her brother abandoned her. She thinks her brother left her, and she wanted him dealt with. I think those are kind of possibly two interesting scenarios that could lead to. We'll talk about it more next week when we're breaking down Andor episode 8, because we've been here for an hour and 15 minutes. I am live with Roto Grinders talking tomorrow's NBA basketball slate in 15 minutes from now. So we got to start wrapping up, getting out of here. Before we do, thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, all those things. Agents of Fandom anywhere you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating, write a review, and we'll give you some free things. We love giving people free things. So if you write a review, we got you covered with some Funkos, comics, all that kind of fun stuff. Liam, we kind of didn't get to talk much about the stuff you're doing over at comicbook.com right now. And so give a few plugs. What are you working on, and where can the people find you on socials?
Sure. Yeah. Over at Comic Book, a lot of writing, a lot of TikToks, a lot of interviews, so many interviews. So be on the lookout for that. It's been a lot of fun. Just getting to expand my reach of people I get to talk to. Obviously, I love my Marvel stuff. I love my pro wrestling stuff. But I did a junket earlier this week for a new Transformers show that's coming out. Got to talk to Alan Tudyk. Really wish I got to talk to Alan Tudyk on Wednesday, so I could have asked him about the freaking K2SO looking bots at the end. But no, he was great. And yeah, just keep it locked to my stuff there, and you'll be able to find all of that shouted out on my socials at Liam T. Crowley, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. I'm always cross-promoting stuff over there. So yeah, and a big thing too, if you're a Percy Jackson guy, let me be your Percy Jackson.
That's funny you said that, because AF literally in the chat just said Liam not mentioning Percy Jackson. What?
Oh, don't worry, we saved it for the end.
Oh, that was perfect timing.
I was gonna plug that at the end too, just because like Liam's your one-stop shop for anything Percy Jackson. We've been your I tweeted out one-stop shop, and that's why it popped into my head. We've been that for X-Men 97 lately with
Yes, sir.
we talked to the Newton brothers, who of course are scoring the X-Men 97. We talked to Honor Zan, who voiced Rogue. We're in the midst of working something out with one of the producers as well, hopefully. And that's what Liam is for Percy Jackson. He's got all that stuff covered. We don't got anyone writing about it right now, so you'll also find Liam stuff on our timeline as well. Anytime he puts something out there, I like to make sure all the Percy Jackson fans that we got in our network are seeing that as well. Thank you so much for joining us today, dude. I'm going to do the conclusion right now on behalf of myself and Garrett, our amazing producer, Liam, or our amazing producer, Ruben, our amazing guest, Liam. Thanks, everyone, for joining us today, and we'll be back next week on early in the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those days, with Kofi Outlaw from comicbook.com. Talking Black Adam in depth as well. That'll do it. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Peace.
Peace.